So Comcast wants to get a merger approved with Time Warner. So they're going to try in 18 different ways to influence legislators. Now, one of the ways that they're going to try to influence the FCC, which is a government body, of course, is to get local mayors and then governors and all these different folks and politicians across the country to write into the FCC and say, oh my God, Comcast, what a lovely, lovely company. Oh, the great things they've done for our community. Now, they're going to do this in a fairly brazen way, and The Verge has an excellent article about this that has kind of caught them red-handed as to how they do their propaganda. First of all, Comcast brags about how there has been, quote, an outpouring of thoughtful and positive comments about the merger. Now, I like that it's an outpouring as if it's really coming from these politicians, and I like that it's they call it thoughtful when in fact they put no thought into it. They just copied the letter that Comcast sent them, as you're about to see. Now, they say, we're especially gratified for the support of mayors and other local officials, underscoring the powerful benefits of this transaction for their cities, constituents, and customers. I mean, these guys, they from the bottom of their heart, they think, oh my God, Comcast has been so good to the people of my city. And again, as you're going to see, it's Democrats and Republicans, both bipartisan, both getting money, both getting greased, both sending the same letters, right? It starts with the Democratic mayor of Philadelphia, of course, and that's not, I say of course because Comcast is centered in Philadelphia, so it's a huge employer in Philadelphia, huge contributor in Philadelphia, so it doesn't matter, Democrat or Republican, the mayor is going to be like, Comcast, Comcast, I love you guys. All right. Now, it doesn't stop there. We've got Mayor Jere Wood of Roswell, Georgia. He's a Republican. The Verge explains, here's how it goes down with him. On August 21st of 2014, Mayor Wood of Roswell sent a letter to the Federal Communications Commission expressing emphatic support for Comcast's controversial effort to merge with Time Warner. Now, according to the email correspondence obtained through a public records request, the Republican mayor's office apparently added one sign-off sentence and his signature to the corporate PR document, then sent it to the federal regulators on the official letterhead of Roswell, Georgia. I like the way these guys work. They're like, I'm going to be really thoughtful about this. What do you got here? Oh, okay, Comcast, dude. Have a great Thanksgiving. Okay, here you go. Okay. Man, put a little effort into it. So who wrote the actual letter that the mayor of Roswell, Georgia sent? Vice President of External Affairs at Comcast. And this is how politics works in this country. And later, Comcast official Al Nash, local Chamber of Commerce representative, and he's of course on the side of Comcast, writes in to the officials and says, quote, you are the best. Of course, he misspelled it. That's not our misspelling, it's his misspelling. You're the best. Okay, so now it's not just Georgia, it's not just Republicans, as I told you. The Verge also explains more prominent officials with histories of receiving campaign money from Comcast, like Oregon's Democratic Secretary of State Kate Brown, also recently sent personal, quote unquote, letters to the FCC supporting the merger. Records obtained by The Verge show that the Secretary of State Brown's letter to the agency was almost wholly written by a Comcast government affairs specialist. I love these titles. I'm not a lobbyist. I'm a government affairs specialist. I write fake letters for mayors, governors, secretary of states. They sign them, and then I sign what is called a check. In fact, let's tell you about that. Since 2008, Comcast has contributed nearly $10,000 to Brown's 2 campaigns for Secretary of State. I'm sure that is a wild coincidence. By the way, look at how easily you can buy off local officials. Secretary of State in a very large state in the country, $10,000 over a couple of years. Where's the letter? What do I need to sign? Oh, Comcast is awesome. God, they've been so good to my community and my bank account. Now, they don't take the money home. It's campaign contributions, but that's what gets them elected. That's what's wrong with the system. All right, now, further explanations. Many of the letters sent to the FCC by state and local officials bear striking resemblance to those of Brown, Woodroska, that's another legislator they talked about in the article, and Wood. The letters are often quick to point to the Comcast's spending on local infrastructure and its record of philanthropy. So this is how this shell game is played. They go, okay, I gave money for the local infrastructure. Why? Because you had to lay down the pipes. So, I mean, it's for your own self-interest. And then you go, well, I mean, did I not do local infrastructure or didn't I? I did, didn't I? Yeah, I know you did. I know you did, right? Then you get to brag about it, but that's for your own profit. And then philanthropy, of course, you make $1 gazillion and then you sprinkle in a little bit here, a hospital there, or this, there, or that, and then you go, oh, am I not merciful? Look at the couple of bucks I gave you for my largesse. Now, look, if they're corporations, they're making money, all that is good, and then they want to do some philanthropy, that's great. Okay, I don't have a problem with any of that. I have a problem with them buying off politicians and these fake-ass politicians pretending that they're representing their constituents when, in fact, they're representing their donors, right? wolf-pack.com, let's go get them, right? Okay, you know what it is, by the way? It's fun to fight them, and our victory is inevitable. Okay, so now let me tell you how big this problem is, though, the problem we're going to fix. Chicago's Mayor Rahm Emanuel and the governor of Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Hawaii, Colorado, Maryland, and Vermont all wrote letters to the FCC regarding the merger that cite both Comcast's Internet Essentials program, which discounts internet services to low-income customers, and past or future local investments by the company. Wow, Rahm Emanuel supporting corporations and pretending that they're doing good things for their local constituents. Wow, I couldn't have seen that coming. But again, very bipartisan here. Blue states, red states, etc. And don't get me wrong, I know that if Comcast creates jobs in your area as a local mayor or governor, you might say, well, look, I want jobs. That part is good. And there might be legitimate reasons you're supporting them as well as illegitimate reasons, right? Now, Tim Wu, who's a Columbia University law professor, writes, the new information confirms the impression that evidence that the merger is in the, quote, public interest is simply being manufactured. And so he's explaining why they do this in the first place, because the FCC is getting all these comments. Now, they've gotten 4 million comments from the public saying, keep net neutrality on that specific issue. And on the issue of the merger, there's a lot of people who are very, very concerned they're going to have monopoly power. They're going to have an overwhelming percentage of the households in America if this merger is allowed. But on the other side, you have all these bought-off politicians who say, oh, no, but Comcast, they're lovely. I mean, did you see the $10,000 they're great. They're great. I mean, they help local businesses and infrastructure and philanthropy. Okay. And then finally, Michael Copps, who's a former head of the FCC, explains how this game is played. He's one of the good guys. He doesn't think the merger is a good idea. He says, when a mayor of a town or a town councilman or a legislator writes in, we look at that, and if someone is of a mind already to approve something like this, they might say, aha, see. See, I love that last quote because it really explains how this game is played. Because no one's having an actual debate in Washington. Nobody's listening to a battle of ideas. Nobody's listening to pundits. It's not like the FCC's like, well, I turned on Bill O'Reilly last night, and I turned on Rachel Maddow this night, and boy, they had this real good battle about this merger, and then I think Rachel made the better points. That's not how it works. They're going to make the decision based on money. They just need something to justify it. So they get these fake letters. You think they don't know that they're fake? They're getting the same letter from all across the country. You think that they don't know it's written by the governmental affairs by Comcast? Of course FCC knows that. But since they want to approve it anyway, or some factors within the FCC want to approve it, they look at it and go, well, you look at this. The honorable mayor from Roswell, Georgia, he bothered to write me a letter about how great Comcast is. I approve. And that's how this scam is foisted upon the American people. All right. Do people really want this gigantic company to be able to control the internet for so many of us where we have no other option? Of course you don't want that. And by the way, that is against the free market. I mean, this is crony capitalism at its worst. And this is what money in politics does. It buys you politicians that set the rules in favor of giant companies and against real competition and against what's good for consumers. That's why we have Wolfpack. We intend to change that, and we will change that. wolf-pack.com.